Can a fish feed a forest? It might sound like a riddle, but if we look closely at the places where land and sea connect, we can actually answer this question. This rainforest seems incredibly fertile, but it struggles to stay that way.
Because there's so many trees here, they use up the available nutrients, especially nitrogen. And nitrogen, remember, is the same fertilizer we put on our lawns to make it grow. So this gets into short supply around here.
So what's a fish got to do with it? Researchers from the John Reynolds Lab are working to find out.
An estuary is a magical place where a river meets an ocean. It's a really dynamic place to study what happens.
I can see why we need to wear chest waders.
Yeah, tide's really coming up.
We often think of ecosystems in kind of one little bubble. There's just the land and there's just the ocean. But estuaries, where a river meets an ocean and where land meets ocean, gives us this amazing space to figure out how all of the plants and animals in that system interact together.
So how do we get from swimming salmon to fertilizing forests? Well, for starters, it has to do with the fish that die along the way.
The experiment that I have running in Goatbushu is a big field experiment. So in each block, and there are 25 blocks, there are 4 things that we've done. We've got a salmon, algae, a plot with both, and a control.
All right, so you gave me some scissors. What am I doing here?
So we have 3 plants here that have been marked, and we need to put 1 bagged plant that has gone to seed into each Ziploc bag. You want to cut right below the bag here. Yeah, that's great.
First thing that I am measuring is how a plant's life is changed by nutrients from salmon. We're measuring investment into reproduction, so flower size and flower number of those plants. When a plant gets an influx of excess nutrients, it has a sort of decision to make. It can either invest in reproductive structures, so make big flowers, make more flowers to attract pollinators, or it can make larger leaves, so it has more area for photosynthesis and it can grow. So there's this sort of growth and reproduction trade-off that the plant has to balance.
Right, so what happens with all of this, all these plants after we harvest them?
We'll be taking them back to the lab and counting how many seeds were produced by that plant.
The very last thing that we focus on is the seed set of the plant. So how successfully was it pollinated? How many seeds is it going to produce? How successful is that plant going to be in reproduction?
Allison and her team will continue to harvest data over the years to come, learning all that they can. But one thing is already clear. Dead salmon do indeed bring life to this estuary.
When you think of a salmon, you think of it, of course, as a fish. What would it have to do with the forest? But when these fish are born here in the creeks, they then go out to the sea for a couple of years, and then they come back after that period of time, and they've got all these nutrients in their bodies. And when they get killed by predators like bears and wolves, they don't eat everything, and so they leave the carcasses behind. To me, the carcass is like a sack of nutrients. It's a sack of fertilizer.
The salmon returns to the place of its birth, and then its remains become a part of the land. That nitrogen-enriched land then helps to produce healthier plants and trees.
So this is a salmonberry plant. When they're successfully pollinated, it'll grow delicious, delicious berries that are often orange to red in color. Birds love them, bears love them. They're a really important part of forested ecosystems on the Central Coast.
Plants and animals working together. That's something we Haysach fully understand, through generations of observation and shared knowledge.
Celtic are very in tune with the phenology or the biology of time because they're so dependent on the ocean and the land for their food. We depend on them so much for on-the-ground knowledge of what's happening. They'll tell me what plants are blooming, what flowers are growing, and I get so much information from them about the timing of everything.
And so these nutrients, this fertilization, it reaches far beyond what one might expect.
Yes, it does. I have had people tell me that their grandparents used to get carcasses and put them into salmonberry patches, for example, to enhance the berries. So it makes a fair bit of sense and it fits.
It's a natural cycle, an essential part of life here, where land meets sea, and where, yes, a fish can feed a forest.